Hello there. How you doing, man?
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, not too bad. How about you?
Yeah, getting there. I think the last time we spoke was when you played at Leeds back at uni,
Yes, I
and
knew I
that
recognised
seems
you
like
from
a million
somewhere. I was
years
like,
away now.
oh, cool. How you been?
Yeah, good. Just busy, but now everything's not busy.
It's slowly slowing down.
Yeah. So you're all right? Are you well?
Yeah, very well. Yeah, very well. Very busy as well. I've kind of seemed to have just ramped up for this last week, and then I
That's
think
always a
after
good thing.
this it should chill out. Fingers crossed.
That's always a good thing, though, to keep busy. Okay, well, I believe we're quite tight on time, so I'll get cracking. So how's life treating you both at the moment?
Weird. I think it's been a weird.
Definitely weird.
It's been pretty weird. That's
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think. Yeah, it's a funny one. I think we're just trying to use time wisely because we kind of had loads of time that we never would have had before. And now we've kind of, I think like everyone, you kind of slow down and then suddenly you're like, oh no, I don't want to end the year like this. So you're like trying to catch yourself up and end on a high.
Yeah, so you've got the new project, or the new ventures, obviously out now, coming out soon. What has that been an idea that's been bubbling around for a while, or is it kind of a new concept?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in terms of my music and the book, the first book, My Day, it definitely has been around for a while. We've been wanting to do something for kids, and our dad writes children's books and the boys do music, and we've all had this kind of, real want to do something. And then Newton had his son, I mean, almost 10 years ago now. So it was a while ago, which is hard to believe. But he got to that age when he was kind of like that little gap in the middle where they're kind of too old for nursery rhymes and too young for like pop music, that they've just felt like a real gap. I know, Newton, you felt that majorly.
Well, it's just that thing of like listening to what he's listening to, and also picking up on what he's kind of singing to himself, and all of it was just really weird. Yeah. Like when he was in the bath and he was just singing to himself. I mean, my favourite song that he sang wrong, I need to remember because it's very funny. But I think in the bath he was just like, "Ooh, I want to touch your body," and I was like, "No, that's not what you want." He's the Ed Sheeran song he sang wrong, but in a hilarious way. It was instead of "I'm in love with your body," it was "I'm in love with my body," which was
good. Body positive.
Yeah. It was good for that. Yeah.
Very body positive.
I'm in love with my body.
I think I prefer that version.
I don't know what's worse. I used to live with a guy, and his kids wanted to listen to the wheels on the bus go round and round 36.
Yeah, I mean that's the other end of the spectrum. So there's the plinky plonky, tinky tonky, glockenspiely, super baby, which to be honest, there is some amazing stuff there. There's like a lullaby glockenspiel version of Appetite for Destruction, which is amazing.
Oh, right, okay.
Which is what my son listened to when he was growing up. I need to play on the album and see. He'll probably instantly fall asleep. He'll just be like, "Oh, this is nice." But I don't know if he's ever heard the originals. And then after that, there's this kind of big gap. And then there's music that's aimed at children in terms of sonically and the way it's marketed.
Yeah. But
the content is completely adult in every way and doesn't make any effort to kind of fit with their kind of younger audience. And it just, I think we both felt that there was a kind of space. There was space for stuff that's written actually for them, about stuff that they know about and feel. Yeah. And
what's been the feedback from parents?
Say that again?
What's the feedback been like from other parents to the concept?
I mean, it's been amazing. Everyone that's like, I got one of my fiance's friends got in touch and sent us a video of, it's usually clean your teeth, and it's kids.
Yeah, that's a handy one.
Clean your teeth, which is what I did with it as soon as it was ready.
Yeah.
I did actually at one point. I was practicing it, and I would practice doing it live while my son actually cleaned his teeth. So he had like quite a weird live music teeth cleaning experience.
That's nice. Maybe we should hire you out for other families.
Yeah, but everyone that's heard it really likes it. It's just getting the word out.
Okay, I mean, you've talked about, Lottie, you mentioned your father earlier being a children's author. Do you remember going
Yeah.
back to your own childhood and kind of what books you were first introduced to?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he wrote some brilliant books, and I mean, he did lots of educational stuff as well as some really fun pop-up stuff,
Yeah.
like My First Words in French, and like loads of educational stuff as well. And amazing books, like board books that had mechanisms that I don't even know how they work to this day. They feel like magic, where you kind of like you press 1, 2, 3 or go around in this tog and suddenly like it'll spell the word that you're trying to spell. Like some incredible, really clever books. I still don't know how they work.
Yeah, the paper engineering side of what he did.
The paper engineering stuff, yeah, it was amazing. And like the wide mouth frog and yeah, some really great ones. So we kind of grew up around music from the 60s and books, really.
On that note, then, do you remember the first time you started, especially you, Newton? Do you remember the first time you started exploring music?
Yeah, my dad taught me sitting on the dock of the bay on a little 3/4 size nylon string guitar that's currently at my brother's house. And yeah, it's such a weird place to start because it's the hardest chords to do. That was the first thing I learned, was the ones where you put your whole finger across the whole chord.
I can't do that.
They're nasty. They're a nasty place to start. But he was like, this is how you play sitting on the dock of the bay. And I used to sit and do that. And I'm like, bar chords were the things I did first. Yeah. And then I think my dad can play, is it 2 or 3 things? I think it might be 2.
Maybe 1 now.
It's that, and then the little fiddly thing that I think he wrote. Right. There's like a kind of finger picking thing.
What about going through school?
I want to relearn because I want to use it. I want to use it and give him a writing credit. I think that'd be quite fun.
Oh, yeah, that'd be a good idea.
I've got my son playing harmonica on the track at the moment.
Oh, brilliant.
Let's go in both directions.
What about going through school? Because from my experience, music at school was hell on earth for 5 years, 5, 6 years. I hated every minute of it.
A lot of recorders, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Recorders and violins. Just horrible.
Yeah, squeaky stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, just squeaky, screechy. I don't know why they've gone. Yeah. I guess pianos take up so much space. Yeah. And they're quite big and quite expensive things. And you can only really have one. Like if there's a room with a piano in it, there's not usually more than one. There's usually just one. And then guitars are quite hard just to get your foot in the door. And I think if you were trying to learn guitar in a big group, it would be quite hard because it's so many tiny, like where your thumb is on the back of the neck and all these kind of little things. And maybe recorders, just because they're small, cheap, plastic, very easy to manufacture, and all that stuff kind of comes into it as well. Yeah. But it's interesting. Yeah, I remember. Oh wow, I remember the name, Mrs. Birch. I didn't think I'd remember that.
Oh yeah, she was at Hall. Yeah, where we went to school.
First music teacher.
She had really long hair, didn't she?
Ridiculously long hair, like past her
really long hair, yeah. We all went to the same school when we were little, so I remember how well.
Yeah.
I don't know, am I bringing back good memories now? Or...
Yeah, you are actually.
We even had that curly-haired guy who's like he's the world's most famous recorder player. Obviously there's not a huge amount of competition. He's in an episode of South Park and he visited the school. I don't know if you remember that once, but that all happened.
Yeah. I do not. Are you sure that actually happened? That feels like you might have made that up.
No, it's a guy with black curly hair who's the world's lead. He's like the kind of Kenny G of recorder.
Maybe we should fact check this. The jazz flute?
Jazz flute.
Jazz flute.
He turned up in South Park and I was like, I know that guy.
Yeah, on a random note, I've got a friend that does yodeling.
Oh, it's hard yodeling.
And she's made a career out of it.
Wow.
Been all over the world with it, to the most random, like Pakistan and places like that.
I can imagine, yeah.
It's incredible how it kind of took off. It just she went from just doing it in a church hall to like she's been on the One Show and all that kind of stuff. And,
no way. Amazing what some music do.
Room 101, that was the other one. She went on that as well. So
did she? Did she get put in the bin?
No, she had to do a yodeling lesson for something.
Oh, good.
But,
good. I'm glad she wasn't.
I I remember she went on the One Show, and John Richardson wouldn't, the comedian.
Yeah.
He refused to yodel. He was like, I'm not having anything to do with it. But yeah, she had them all yodeling. Yeah. Just going back to your childhood then. I mean, you've talked about the concept of the project. A lot of people say that the things kids are taught in school these days aren't relevant, and going back, there's things that you don't know when you leave school. Like stupid things like opening a bank account or filing, just really random stuff. From your own experience, is there anything that you know now that you think, I wish I'd known that when I was growing up?
So many things.
Oh, so many things, yeah.
Like maths should just be taxes. You could just all
of and saving. Yeah, savings and tax.
Savings, interest, just understanding everything.
Mortgages, that'd be useful.
Yeah, mortgages would definitely be useful. There's just so many things that you're completely unprepared for. I think science is taught inside out. I don't think you should tell the children what's going to happen. I've always thought this. It's really annoying, and I've done quite a lot of sciencey stuff with my son, where I just haven't told him what's going to happen. So when it happens, he feels like he's discovered it.
Okay. And
he always remembers it because it feels like a scientific discovery. Whereas if you spend ages reading about what's going to happen, and then you do it and it happens, you're like, well, yeah. Of course that happened. You told me that like 10,000 times before we did it. And what else is something else? I mean, obviously, like kind of maths and financial stuff would be immensely helpful. Yeah, that's probably the biggest one.
I think
the one I do learn is pretty random. Like simultaneous equations, I haven't used recently.
Have you not?
Not in the last 24 hours.
The last sort of decade, no. Me neither.
Okay,
trying to think what else there is.
Just in terms of the future of the venture, I mean, have you thought about where it's going to go? What you're going to do next with it?
Yeah, I mean, for us, this book was really the first one to kind of set the scene a bit of us trying to create a world where adults weren't annoyed and kids were actually learning some things and singing songs about stuff that they know about. It's kind of just getting them to feel confident about their actions and what they're doing, and as an adult you kind of have a song for every emotion, and kids, they just don't have it at all. So we kind of wanted to be a platform, and we're going to expand it as it carries on, but we wanted to be a platform where kids and adults can come and just know that it's a safe space, and there's not going to be any material that they shouldn't listen to, but also there's stuff that's going to give them time and space to think and feel and use music how adults use music.
Yeah, I mean, you
and
talked
also
about
as a musical education tool as well. There's loads of
totally. We're pretty careful about that.
Covers so many different genres and spaces, and it's not simplified to make it palatable for children. I've actually made it almost slightly more complex than I would do if it was for adults.
Yeah.
Like if I'm writing something for the radio, it's going to be kind of ironically quite nursery rhymey.
Yeah, true.
But with this project, I was consciously kind of pushing the musicality of it.
Yeah, and I think it was a nice thought to us to, if a kid really liked, I don't know, the song about physical education, which is kind of quite reggae, that if they loved that one and kept playing it, their parents were like, oh, well, if you love that, then you should check out, Bob Marley, or you should check out the way. And like, it was kind of a nice path for parents to take their kids, like you said, on this musical journey.
It's actually quite
and hopefully get them. You are?
Quite Vampire Weekend.
Yeah, it is a bit actually. But yeah, and it was just kind of helping get those difficult jobs done. Yeah. So like cleaning your teeth, getting dressed, making going to school fun, all of these things, trying to add a bit of creativity and a bit of fun. There's a great one called Just 'Cause It's Green, which is kind of like a country Eat Your Greens song, which is just awesome. And like, we've had such great feedback from parents just being like, this is so great.
That is the one, that's
made things fun.
Yeah, that one seems to connect just immediately. If I'm explaining what the project is, I tend to just play a bit of that and then okay, I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah. Because the idea really was that unless you listen to the words carefully, you wouldn't really know that it was kids' music. that it could come on, and and there are some that are more kiddie than others, but the idea was that it wasn't that kind of repetitive simplicity that nursery rhymes have, and that parents would get in the car and be like, do you know what, I actually want to play that because it's hilarious. And there's like trickier bits, there's fast raps that are way too fast for a 5-year-old, but if you're in the car with your mum and dad and your dad learnt all the words or your mum learnt all the words, it was like a really fun thing for them to do, to kind of like, oh, you can do the whole rap, I can't do that yet. And it was just like, it felt like a really nice inclusive thing to do. It's a good car journey book, that's for sure.
It's a good reading challenge as well, because if anyone tries to read along,
they
have to be able to read kind of 40 words.
I don't know, I don't think you have a physical book, but obviously, so the CD comes in the front, so it comes all packaged together.
Oh, nice.
And so for every song, there's a double page with all the lyrics. So it makes it, so we've had loads of lovely pictures of like, mums or dads doing the washing up, and the kid like on the floor listening to the music, because you can play it through Alexas and Googles and all that, and like reading along to the words. So it really actually helps them concentrate on words, see the words, hear the words. It's a really good tool for that as well.
Who did the illustrations? Because they look stunning.
Yeah, they're brilliant. It was a guy, Philip Horton, who my dad's actually worked with for years, but he did such a lovely job, and we kind of really tried to create this world that's kind of, everything's musical. So the basis of the world is these kids, and actually, as you can see, hopefully there's hopefully a kid to represent everyone as well.
Right. Okay.
So we've got Joel, who wears hearing aids, is actually based on our next door neighbour who we grew up with forever, and he's an absolute bloody legend. And he was like quite a big inspiration in just giving a face to everyone. Right. And that everything and anything is possible, really. And then we just got kids who hopefully can see them and be like, hey, that looks like my friend, or that looks like me, or everyone feels represented.
Brilliant. Okay, I've got to ask this while you're both on the call. Going back to your own childhood, you must have some interesting and fun stories you can tell us.
Oh God, most of our good stories involve people getting hurt, I think.
Okay.
You didn't get hurt.
There's probably some good ones. Yeah, there's a bit of.
I come back to the trunk and just smile to myself on a regular basis.
No, that's not a smiling moment for me.
No, you hated that. But
Bad.
we were in the trunk. My cruelest thing I think we ever did to you, and if you said, I had to set the scene a little bit. So I'm ginger.
It's not bringing back good memories.
And my brother's another big ginger guy, and then this small blonde girl appears.
Third time lucky, hey?
And then the milkman arrived.
Oh, I hate this story.
Has long blonde hair. He also has a glass eye.
Did have one eye.
Acted like he was permanently surprised. Whatever you said. Good morning. Oh, good morning. It was quite.
But he only had one eye. Bless him. He was such a nice guy.
He was a lovely guy, but he just had some really fascinating mannerisms. So obviously, as the two ginger people, we convinced Lottie that was her dad.
You can't do that.
So much so that I told the school, and my mum had to go in and tell them that that it wasn't true. I kept writing about it and telling everyone that my dad was the milkman and my mum was lying to me. It was a bad time for us.
Oh, it was brilliant. That's my favourite.
That was quite a good story. That's what you get when your brothers are 4 years and 8 years older than you.
Yeah, but we did all really get on. You and Toby kind of clashed more because you did your smug "I'm getting away with it" face, which would make him die.
Well, he was 8 years older than me. I mean, if I did it now, he'd punch me.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Can we see it? Can you still do it? Yeah.
That's the one.
Yeah, I would never do that in front of Toby, for fear of my life, I think.
But we do, like, we all genuinely really got on.
Yeah, I mean, we work together all the time, so have to get on, really.
Yeah.
That kind of leads me into my next question then. If you could go into each other's houses during lockdown and be invisible, what would you do to annoy each other?
Oh.
I
mean, I know the quickest way to annoy you.
What's that?
That's just to grab your head and give it a little wobble.
Oh, I hate that.
You just can't.
Or hug me. Not really a hugger.
No, it's any touching. It's just wrong.
No, I don't find it from other people. I just don't need a hug from you. That's all.
I mean, I'm quite hard to annoy until you actually annoy me, and then I completely explode.
What would annoy
It takes a lot
Toby?
to get there.
I'm not sure what would annoy Toby.
Just keep turning off the PlayStation.
Oh yeah, take the PlayStation.
Just keep turning it off every time he turned it on.
Yeah, that's actually there. That would be the one. He'd end up throwing the TV like out the window.
He did. Oh, well, he threw a few controllers out windows and stuff when we were growing up.
That's like sitting at the top of the stairs, though, isn't it, with the remote control for the TV and then turning the.
Oh, so good. There was one of those I saw, like an American guy watching this really important football game, and his wife was just turning it off from upstairs, and he absolutely goes mental, and he like rips the TV off the wall and smashes it, like kicks it and breaks it, and she's there like, oh, this is not funny anymore. Like, I could never tell him that was me because it went so badly.
It's not great.
You'd have to take that one to your grave, I think.
Okay, brilliant. Well, we've pretty much covered everything. We've got everything covered.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks very much for taking the time.
No problem. We should loads of luck with the project. I mean, it looks like it's going to be a busy 2021. I know you talked about going out to schools and things, and like obviously this year I'd read somewhere about that, and obviously that's
we had some really good grand plans with a company called Parent Folk, who put up events all over, a lot of actually in the Wirral and Liverpool and around there, but they had some brilliant stuff planned, and we were going to be their sort of musical partner. So we actually were at the beginning of the year auditioning kind of like young adults to play the parts of the kids and create this kind of all singing, all dancing show. That the idea was that we would tour it and take it to festivals and take it to schools. And then the C-bomb hit and we couldn't do that anymore. So I mean, we're looking at the moment really to maybe partner with someone for content and build a cartoon element into it, which is kind of the real plan. Which we'd love to be able to do, and then when we can and it's safe for everyone, get the musical element out there and live, because that's obviously where we learn we were on the road for years. Forever. So it would be nice to be able to tour it and give kids that kind of, we called it My First Gig, so it was kind of nice for families. So I hope we will get to do that, but I actually think sadly it'll be a while now. Yeah.
I was going to say, okay. What are your hopes? Obviously, Newton, you're on a musical front. What are your hopes for next year?
Well, I'm finishing a project actually kind of now that will be kind of being released next year, and then hopefully get back on the road. We've got a socially distanced tour planned.
Yeah. We've got one in Feb.
Yeah, and then the next one is it'll be near the end of the year, and hopefully it'll be normal. And
you got one in May as well. You got Feb, May. Yeah. And then an end of the year big tour once the album's out. But I mean, we're just moving everything around so much at the moment. Every time we have a plan and we're like, yeah, okay, this is it, then tier 3 happens or something changes and you're like, oh, okay, well, we have to stop. So I think our aim now is to get the music finished, done and dusted, and kind of be able to just press the button and be like, okay, go. So we just have to be, I think, like everyone in the music industry and so many industries, we're just having to be prepared to change stuff and move things around and just try not to get too stressed about it, I think, because it's a lot of it is so out of our control. We started the year, I think, like everyone, being a bit like, well, what am I going to do? How am I going to do it? And I think we're at the point now where we're like, okay, let's just be in control of what we can be in control of, finish the music, make it as good as we can, and then roll it out when we can.
Yeah, just got to be flexible, haven't you?
Yeah, but it should be a really exciting year for him, really. We've got lots planned.
Yeah, there's loads going on.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, the stuff I'm finishing at the moment, I'm really happy with. It's a really good batch.
Brilliant. Well, thank you for your time. And like I said, good luck with the project, and especially next year. Good luck with everything you do. I'm sure we'll catch up somewhere in Leeds or York at some point. I'm sure we'll cross paths again.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much.
No problem. Have a great Christmas and New Year.
Yeah, you too, mate.
Okay.
All right.